As we embark into a new chapter and a new adventure, we first start with a heavy, heartwarming scene of everyone celebrating the defeat of Moro. And honestly, somehow this was made quite nostalgic and beautiful. In fact, it's been a while since we have seen all the characters celebrating all at once. I mean, like, we haven't seen the characters all in the same place. As you see Krillin, Gohan, Yamcha, Tien, and even Chaozu running to Goku and congratulating him after his heroics. You even get to see a little moment between Piccolo and Vegeta as if this was in the movies, where they're trying to conceal their happy faces. But for me, what makes it stand out is usually every arc has way too many casualties, and we don't often have everyone going up to Goku physically and see their reactions, as usually one or two of the characters are dead. So I really love seeing everyone confirming that the threat is over and Goku adds yet another villain that fell on his sword against him. Vegeta's mood swings kicks in as he approaches Goku and demands an answer on where did that power come from. Goku says who knows, shrugging it off, but Vegeta has none of it and says Goku's probably hiding something. Though Goku explains we might find out later. Of course, this is Toyotaro keeping Oop out of the story as he's not supposed to be revealed until the end of Dragon Ball Z. Speaking of which, Boo, or rather the Grand Supreme Kai, returns to the lookout after he has his word with Oop, and transforms back to Boo. Mr. Satan is overjoyed and decides to bring everyone for some barbecue and throwing a huge party for everyone to celebrate. Of course, once that's over, Goku uses the Namekian Dragon Balls to bring back everyone who Moro has killed, thus reversing the damage done by him. The manga, however, is still consistent with its theme thus far, as the celebration is once again continued, but this time to bring Goku, Vegeta, Jaco, and Boo to receive medals and honor for their heroics. Which is sort of kind of ironic when you consider that Boo and Vegeta are actually getting like medals for their heroics, for being heroes, being praised by everyone as heroes of the galaxy, in spite of the fact that both of these characters at one point terrorized the entire galaxy, especially Boo. I think some of the stuff that Boo did, even though this is his good side, is still like irreversible. Like, he destroyed so many worlds. But it's kind of funny that they're actually like honoring his heroics. Though what's interesting about this scene is that it doesn't make sense. The scene itself doesn't make sense. Like, why would Goku and Vegeta agree to go with the Galactic Patrolman to be to have medals and celebrating? This is not something that the Saiyan race, the Saiyan warriors would do, especially not Vegeta. Vegeta wouldn't give a crap, and Goku would probably be too busy. He'd probably be working, he'd probably be at Whis' planet with Beerus training. He wouldn't go and celebrate. But the interesting thing is Toyotaro actually forces the narrative, and when I say forces, I'm not saying that this is actually a bad piece of narrative, but I'm just saying it's one of those things that is working inconvenient, so Toyotaro can reveal the fact that yes, Beerus is actually alive. And I honestly have a problem with it. Not a problem with the logistics of him being alive. I actually don't mind that the Grand Priest brought him back and took his angelic powers. It gives him like a second chance at life. But still, one of the biggest criticism of Dragon Ball, and we've spoken about this before, it's that death has no consequences and death has no meaning. And this is something that not only Dragon Ball has criticized for, but also a lot of people who are like a part of the anime community and people who just watch anime in general usually shrugs off Dragon Ball as some sort of children's cartoon because they don't bring people back to they always bring people back to life. And me pointing this out, this is not me trying to suggest the fact that Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT and all the other shows didn't do that. In fact, all these shows have done that. Well, in fact, to credit Dragon Ball GT, they actually did a lot of stuff to actually like remove the Dragon Balls from the story and give consequences. However, still, with Dragon Ball Super, it's still like inconsistent with how it was before, that death has no meaning. And I felt like Beerus is such a great character, such an amazing character, and him bringing him back to life doesn't really add anything to his character. Yes, it could like add for some further future stories, but still, the fact that if he remained dead, I think that would have been a lot more impactful and a lot more memorable, and it would serve his story and his character. It would have served him better. It's like bringing Android 16. Why would you bring Android 16? Like, he fulfilled his role in the series. Of course, that's just me saying. Like, I know a lot of people might disagree, but I felt this was a great chance to actually show that Dragon Ball Super is moving and treading towards the right path. So a lot of people could criticize actually Dragon Ball Z and say Dragon Ball Super is fixing a lot of the stuff that Dragon Ball Z had issues with. However, that's not the case, and we can no longer say that, regretfully. But tell me what you guys think. I'm actually like a little bit disappointed. I like the character of Mirrors. I think he's a phenomenal character, my favorite character in the Moro arc. So trust me, I'm happy to see him, but I just don't like the fact that they brought him back. And as Goku's being congratulated and celebrating for the third time in the row in this arc, which, trust me, I'm happy to see that. It's such a festive mood. Like, I know, even though it's kind of boring, but it's still nice seeing the characters interacting and just humanizing them and having funny moments with Draco. Like, I really enjoyed that. But it's also interesting that Beerus is actually being humiliated for Goku's decision. That's kind of funny. Even though this is sort of like, if you are a Beerus fan, I think this is sort of like adds what do you call it, like salt to your wounds. So a lot of people might get salty because of the fact that Beerus is once again treated badly and also being like the butt of jokes in this term, as he's being used as like a horsey for the Omni King to play with. Though it's kind of humorous and it's funny, but still, I just really find it that Beerus's contribution to the story is more of the comedic level. Like, he doesn't add anything until the next arc, I think, where he actually tells Vegeta something very interesting, but I'll get that to in a bit. Though the festive moods are actually cut short once we realize that that 73 is actually alive, and he's actually was stolen by Sagambo, and he's actually pretty much indestructible to an extent, and he's an android that they took and they just made him stronger and better. So I guess this arc is gonna explore the fact of probably Android or Android 73 coming back to life, or him morphing into something else, or at least that's what I thought, until we realized that he is stolen by this spaceship, and we learned that these guys are the people who actually made Android 73, and they're very happy with it, and they're going to use him to conquer the world. And this is where we meet the new Dragon Ball villain, Granola. And I would assume he's a villain because the arc is named after him, and he is such a significant character to this arc. But what's interesting about him that I can draw parallels between the character of Granola and the character of Moro. When we've seen the character of Moro, he's a character who's been shrouded in mystery, a character that had like a huge cloak concealing himself, concealing his powers, and there is so much to learn about this character. But in terms of Granola, this is sort of like a Toriyama thing, where I feel like he is such a bland designed character. When I say a bland designed character, is that you can see everything about him. He looks like a normal human dude. And when I say human, like humanoid dude. So nothing too special about the character himself, and he doesn't seem that strong. However, it is interesting that to see his fighting style, and he uses like guns like Deadshot, sort of like sniping people, and he seemed like a very skilled fighter. So he's someone who's tactical, someone who's skilled, a space fighter, like a bounty hunter. It seems that he is, and he's here to reclaim 73 for some reason, and we're gonna know this in the next arc. So we finally learn more about the newly introduced Soul Survival Granola. Very interesting and fascinating stuff, and it's clear that his motivation is driven by his revenge against both the Frieza and Saiyan army. And this nightmare of the giant apes gives us a glimpse of the Saiyans annihilating his race. His fear and vulnerability are well depicted on these pages, and if the new saga is setting him up to be the main villain, it's refreshing to see that he's not being presented as an overpowered evil entity like most Dragon Ball villains. However, someone could also draw parallels between Granola and Baby from Dragon Ball GT, who also harbored similar intentions against the Saiyans. And it would be interesting to see him confront Frieza and the remaining Saiyans if ever they encounter each other, which will probably happen in this saga. It turns out that Granola stole OG-73, the Android 73 like we described recently. and he delivers it to these gangsters, the Heater's Base, or whatever you call them. And that's where a new group of villains are introduced. I think those villains aren't that significant, but it's interesting to see that through these 4 members of the Heaters, which don't look too dangerous, we learn a lot about Granola. But it looks like they have some serious plans with the intel, because they explain to them that strength is not as important sometimes when we have all the intel. So intel is even more powerful than money, because knowledge is one of the most useful tools and the most powerful tool. But anyways, they want to use this intel to control the universe. But can their wealth bring them enough power to match the remaining Saiyans? I don't think so, but maybe if they can tap into Android 73 and see about the angelic powers that Android 73 copied, then perhaps they could probably utilize that. Even though I would think that's a cheap way to give characters Ultra Instinct, because Ultra Instinct is such a cool move for a lot of characters, and I feel one of the things that worked for Ultra Instinct in the previous chapter is if you're not worthy to control that power, then it will destroy you. So when Moro took over Mirz's power, he couldn't contain that power and he paid the price. So I like the fact that, yes, Ultra Instinct, just like Goku in the Torrent of Power, when he tapped into that full power, he actually paid the price because he wasn't accustomed to that power. So it gives characters this sort of like, you're not worthy to go in that form, so it's not going to be like another Super Saiyan bargain sale. But anyways, I digress. Meanwhile, Whis is training Goku and tells that if the Ultra Instinct shouldn't be his ultimate goal, and that it's in fact just a starting point. Whis also explains, in spite of the fact that Goku managed to copy Whis' Ultra Instinct style, he says that it makes him predictable and he should instead develop his own style, which I think is pretty nice that Whis is sort of like, it's not the fact that as much that Whis is a lot stronger, but of course he's trying to tell Goku that these techniques should be your own original techniques, and by doing so, he could probably one day get the better of Whis. Maybe not beat him, but probably pose more of a threat to him in terms of fighting. Then we pan to Vegeta, who's having an interesting conversation with Beerus, and this caught my eye because it seems like they're shoehorning a new thing that wasn't there before. Beerus mentions to Vegeta that the Ultra Instinct is not the only technique out there that is like a very powerful technique, so there is another Haikaishin technique, or like God of Destruction special ability, which again, I feel like they pulled this out of their asses. But however, it's interesting and I like it from the perspective that they're trying to give Vegeta something different than Ultra Instinct. So it makes Vegeta's quest to become stronger unpredictable. This is why we liked Spirit Fission, because Spirit Fission was an unpredictable move. It was something that Vegeta went on his own initiative and tried to develop his own techniques instead of seeing Goku and trying to emulate whatever Goku does. Because if he keeps emulating whatever Goku does, he'll never catch to him, because he'll just wait for Goku to bust some new form, and Vegeta is gonna write that on his notes, be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to that form. So this is actually a much more efficient way for Vegeta to develop. Anyway, so we understand that Granola harbors a lot of like malice and a lot of like sort of like negative feelings towards Frieza, and once he knows that Frieza's alive, he gets incredibly angry. And this is where the arc is trying to set itself that Granola's rage is reawoken, and he's going to do something for him to actually overcome and probably kill Frieza. And this directs to the bad omen of the Oracle Fish, is that when the Oracle Fish has bad dreams, something bad will happen, and the Oracle Fish actually prophesies about something the strongest mortal. So this is pretty interesting that Granola is probably going to be set up as the strongest mortal. And honestly, the only way I can think of him being the strongest mortal is via 2 ways. And this is honestly without spoilers. Is either he's going to use the angelic powers of that Mirror's copy that were copied by Android 73, or somehow he's going to go to the not Zalama the dragon, but there's this Zeno thing There's this guy who has infinite knowledge. Oh my god, I forgot his name, but he was in Dragon Ball Super, the guy who possesses infinite knowledge. Maybe he was gonna ask him about something about how to get strong, and he might tell him about the Super Dragon Balls, and he might get the Super Dragon Balls and wish for something crazy. I don't know. I hope it's not the latter of these two. I hope it's something about him training, or him like just something a little bit more to justify his power up, you know? But anyways, I think this arc is pretty interesting, and I cannot wait to review the next one. So if you guys enjoy this and you have any kind of feedback, anything you want to add, then tell me, because the sooner I get to where we are currently, the more time I will spend on each arc. So if I get fully caught up, I'll probably do like a much better review, hopefully. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, then please like this video and comment and subscribe. Peace, guys.